Yay Networks.
Happy New Year! Hello.
Hi. Howdy.
2023.
Wow, that was a fast year.
That was quick.
Yeah.
It was, but it wasn't.
I know. It always gets really fast at the end of the year because we have our big wedding show coming up. So those through the holidays is just crazy. For once engagement season starts in November, straight through on to January. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm Emily.
Yep. And I'm Laura.
And this is Cheers to that shit. Should we do a cheers?
Yeah.
Holiday?
Cheers. Ring in the
Cheers.
New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Do you do resolutions?
Nope.
Yeah.
You?
I'm trying to think if I have one that I can pull out of my ass.
I don't.
I don't.
I have a very, very. I'm just into my whole New Year's thing. I'm not a big New Year's person.
Why?
I don't know why. I've just never been a big New Year's person.
Don't look at my eyebrows. Quit.
Well, I'm not. I'm trying to look at your eyeballs. Well, my birthday is right around Christmas, and I love all of that leading up to it and everything. So when Christmas is over, New Year's is just kind of like, oh, one more thing. I'm kind of partied out. I'm kind of, cooked out like from all my baking and cooking. So it's just never been a big thing for me. And I have to say I'm not a big fan of January because it's just a gray bucket of suck as far as the weather goes. I'm a summer person, so I don't like the cold grayness. And so
we wish you guys the best year.
I was just going to say, it sounds so dark and gloomy and pessimistic, but I've just never been into it because I believe you should be doing what you want and living your best life all year. Why make up a bunch of things like, I'm not doing that shit again, or wow, that sucked. Let's highlight all the good stuff and just keep that going.
I'm going to keep drinking. I'm going to keep eating crappy food.
Yep.
I'm going to say I'm going to work out.
But I do work out. See?
Yeah.
And then all those people are going to come to the gym in January and they're going to be on my treadmill. They're going to be on my workout bench. I'm going to be like, y'all people, go ahead. You have your little month of January because you're not going to be back in February.
Oh, I guess we're not doing dry January either.
No. There's no dry months for me.
No, we're not doing that. Well,
that's overrated.
Like you just said, engagement season.
Yeah.
Congratulations to anyone that just got engaged. How exciting.
Yeah, that is exciting.
Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
Super exciting time. Magical year.
The new beginnings.
Yeah.
New beginnings. I'm actually surprised that January or like New Year's isn't a bigger engagement time than Christmas Eve and Christmas are. They're the biggest days of the year. You would think New Year's is kind of like...
it's the 3rd. It's right there.
I'm confused.
Like it's Christmas Eve, and then New Year's. It's right there.
No, I know that. I'm just saying I would think that New Year's would be more like you're ringing in the new year. We're going to get married this year. Yeah. Or,
Can I just say also, which it's too late because now you all already have done it. But when people are like, #ringing in the new year, like...
Yeah. Overplayed.
Yeah, we've seen it 9 billion times.
Yeah, it happens every year on December 31st.
Oh, congratulations. No, but seriously, it's really exciting.
It is. It is a great time.
So we're assuming that with everyone gotten engaged.
Who are you, Forrest?
I know, that's what I felt like I just sounded like. Oh, Lord. We are having a good day.
Yeah.
Good day. We've had some fun times. Okay. So with everyone have gotten engaged, I can't even say it now anymore. We figured that we probably, because, I'm going to speak for brides because I was a bride. When you get engaged, you dive into all the way. You're like, I need the magazines. I need to find the podcasts. I need to find the websites. Yeah. So we're going to assume
follow
that we're
everybody on Instagram and
we are blowing up right now. And we've just gotten 90 billion followers. So thank you so much.
Once you get engaged, it's like you become left-handed.
Yeah.
Does this ring make me look engaged? You just, all of a sudden it's opened a whole door to a whole new world of a new brand, wedding everything.
Brand. Yeah.
No, I mean, seriously, there's cups and mugs and, all
things that you will literally only use for the 16 months that you're engaged. Yeah. So we thought it'd be a good time to like reintroduce ourselves. This is your first time or first couple episodes and we haven't scared you away with how professional we are.
Oh boy.
So we started this podcast, Cheers to That Shit, which I'm assuming at this point you now know is not professional or your typical wedding podcast.
Yeah, traditional wedding podcast. There's too much of that out there.
Yeah. Laura, do you want to talk about yourself for a second? You want me to talk about you? You want me, I talk about you? You talk about me? I
Sure.
talk about, we talk about,
What do you want me to tell everybody?
Well, how long have you been in the wedding industry?
Oh gosh, a lot of years. 27. Well, it'll be 28 this year. Yeah, it's been a long time. I actually got into the industry, obviously, when I was 27 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So I was newly married just for a couple of years when my husband and I got into this industry. So we've seen quite a lot of changes and different things. Trends come, trends go, and now they're back again. So there's a lot that we've seen, a lot of wedding vendors that we've worked with over the years and stories that we've heard of their wedding experiences from their clients. And so, this is just a perfect time and a perfect opportunity for us to be doing this because we have so much to say.
I always have. I don't need to.
Well, yeah, you don't need a reason.
I don't need a reason to talk. I always have so much to say.
Yeah, I really enjoy it. I mean, my passion always was from the very beginning. My goal was to educate the brides. Yeah. Educate the people. Yeah, the people who are getting married that are making those big decisions. Because from the very beginning, when we work with a lot of vendors, we know they know how to do what they do.
Yeah.
Well, for the most part, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're running their business. They know what they do. They know how to bake a cake. They know how to take pictures, whatnot. Yeah. And it's the couples, that
this is the the first time they've done it.
Yeah. And we literally have been talking about this the past couple of days, and there is so much information out there. It's information overload. And a lot of it is very vague. And I say that because it's just geared to, spark something and get you going. I mean, there's a million, especially now with social media, there's a million timelines and budget charts and all of these things that,
like, the biggest reason that we wanted to start this is because when it boils down to is that there's so many learning opportunities for vendors and wedding planners, and there's nothing out there for couples.
Right.
And no one's talking about the truth of
what the couples
go through and how shitty it can all be sometimes. And it's like, and the vendors complain about it. They're like, they don't know at all what they're doing. It's like, yeah, but you're not taking the time to teach them either.
Well, either that or couples get taught by vendors along the way. Like they get in touch with the venue first, and the venue's like, have you done this? Have you done that? This is what you need to do.
They're like, I didn't know I needed to do that.
And then they're like, oh, okay, well, let me go talk to this DJ now. And the DJ was like, oh no, don't do that. Don't do this. This is what I need you to do. And this is it. And it's all based on what they do.
Because the vendors are self-serving. Like they want to make it easier for themselves. Right. They want the couple to have the best experience.
Right.
But they need it to be an easy experience for them as well.
For them as well. Yeah. And so, just like I said, that's why there is so much information out there, but it can be pretty vague because you never really know what the nitty gritty is until you're actually meeting with that vendor, because they're going to tell you what they need from you. Yep. And typically it's the first time you're ever hearing of it. And every vendor, you're going to get the same spiel about what you need to be doing from their perspective. And then that's when it just blows up and gets confusing and stressful. And, cue Cheers to That Shit podcast. So we can tell you all the shitty stories that we hear along the way.
I came into Laura's life, 5 years ago, 6 years ago? 5 years ago?
Yeah.
5 years ago. And
Has it been?
Has it? It feels like longer, honestly.
It does feel like longer. It feels longer and shorter at the same time. It's really weird.
Good times.
Oh my gosh.
I think it's been only like 5 years. And
gosh.
Yeah, I like to call myself like the little Tasmanian devil that just came in and I was like, yeah, this isn't gonna work.
Yep.
And fucked it all up, but in the best way possible.
But it was perfect timing because, I was ready to kind of move on to some new challenges and some new projects, and you coming into the business, not only did you encourage us and bring that up to do that, but it also, with having you, gave me an opportunity to take that little step back and kind of reevaluate a little bit. So it's been great.
You're welcome. So, so anyway, pretty much we wanted to start this podcast because we realize how fucking stressful weddings are and what, big pieces of shit they can be, honestly. And we were just like, you know what? There's wedding podcasts out there that, follow us to have your perfect timeline start at episode 1. And, or we're going to teach you how to connect with vendor or blah, blah, blah. Or the wedding podcasts that are out there are for vendors.
Right.
So they're not like, we just wanted to be able to like, listen, it's the couples out here that are
having the experiences that don't get shared.
Right. So here we are. You're welcome,
Yeah.
couples. We're sharing your experiences.
There's that cute little, saying we were talking about the other day. You're about to spend more money than you've ever spent on things you've never purchased from people you've never heard of. So
Trust us.
right. Yeah. Oh, trust me. Yes.
So trust us.
I got you. I got
It's
you.
fine.
And so how can you possibly be expected to know how to navigate through that?
Well, we're going to tell you how.
We're going to tell you.
We're going to tell you how. So a little bit about us is that, like we said, we share stories. We kind of just get into, we'll talk about like really relatable topics, but we do give our very unbiased opinions. So today what we're going to talk about, because we figure a lot of people have just gotten engaged. We don't figure, we know, because that's what we
do.
fucking do. So we know a lot of people just got engaged. So we're going to talk about, like, hey, congratulations. Yay, it's exciting. You've announced it. You probably have already planned or are in the middle of planning your engagement party if you want to have one. But now you're kind of getting into that, like, okay, what do I need to do next? Like, now what do I need to do? So we're going to break it down a little bit. It's very simple. We're not going to like dive into a ton of details with this one. But a couple of things that you need to do first are getting your budget together.
Yeah. That sounds easier than it is.
But like, and because that entails like who is financially contributing to the wedding.
Right.
Getting a guest count together, because that's also going to affect your budget.
Yeah. Guest count is definitely, I think, the number one thing in really determining your budget.
Yeah.
You may have a set amount of money that
well, it's like,
that
if mom and dad are helping
wherever it's coming from, doesn't matter where it's coming from. You have a set amount of money.
Yeah.
But guest count is actually going to really drive that as well.
And I will say the average guest count for 2022 was about 150 couples, 150 guests.
That's a decent wedding.
And that's on the high side, because we saw a lot of more small, like intimate weddings, like the elopements, the mini ceremonies happening. And those are about 75.
Yeah.
So I think right now more people are leaning to like a 75, 100 person wedding. Yeah. But I think because we're coming off of, and now I'm hoping in 2023 we can get past fucking, since COVID, but like since 2022 was still in that COVID, I think people were like, well, I still want to have a big event. I still want to be able, I can now. Yeah. So I still want to.
Well, there's a lot of people who had those small events during, a lot of the restrictions and lockdowns and things that are now
they had having like the smaller ceremony.
Yeah, now they're having the big celebration.
Like the 1 year anniversary ceremonies.
Yeah, I have one of my daughter's friends is doing that exact thing. She got married during COVID and just had a very small ceremony, and now they're having a big reception.
Yeah. So we'll probably still see that a little bit through this year. The next thing that you're going to want to do before you book anyone is get at least like a date or time of year set. But just to kind of give a quick example, and then we'll take a quick break and jump back in, is I'm going to pull my phone out, which I don't always do, so don't judge me if you're watching us. Average cost is what, 32.5. So I broke this down to be a little bit more realistic, and unfortunately how I broke it down
is unrealistic,
is not super realistic. But I did a budget breakdown of 50,000. And before everyone's like, what the fuck? As we go through this episode, we'll kind of talk about like why that is not an outrageous amount for a wedding.
No, not at all.
So for just really
not for
quickly,
150 people.
No. So just really quickly, a budget breakdown for 50,000. Your venue, reception, and catering is all going to be about 50%.
Yeah.
So that's 25.
Right there. That's
and that's like rentals, Obviously catering is like bartending as well. Like that's
Food and
everything.
beverage.
Food and beverage, everything right there. Your ceremony officiant, that'll be about 2%. So 1,000. Photography and videography will be about 12%, which is 6,000, which is 6,000,
Yeah.
which I'm telling you right now, that's not both photographer and videographer. Not for 6,000.
No.
I mean, it could be.
It could be, but you get what you pay for. And we've talked about that with photography. Yeah.
So wedding attire and beauty, about 10%, which is 5. Music and entertainment, another 10%. Flowers and decor, which is 8%, which is 4. Invitations, paper good, 3%, which is 1,500. Wedding rings, another 3%, 1,500. So that
a lot of people don't even add that into the budget.
No, they don't. So that right there, if I did my math correctly, which I probably didn't, I think is 49,000. So you have another $1,000.
Well, I mean, there's tipping.
Yep.
A lot of people don't add tipping into their budget either, but that is a very expected thing.
The average cost per guest, which I did not know this, is $310.
Wow.
If you broke down your entire wedding budget. So that would equal out to be 161 guests at $50,000.
Wow.
You also need to talk about your non-negotiables, which we've talked about in a previous episode. So if this is one of your first few episodes, please go back and kind of listen. But I just wanted to break that down because when we talk about everything else, I think it's important to kind of have a realistic expectation going into something that you're like, oh yeah, 20, 25, 30.
Yeah. Well, I think the venue and feeding and entertaining your guests is obviously the largest chunk of the budget.
Yeah.
I had some non-negotiables. I wouldn't really call them non-negotiables, but I'm a super detail-oriented person.
What?
And being super detailed. And being a creative, there were some things that were very important to me when I was planning Jackie's wedding, my daughter's wedding. And that was I just wanted the room to look really pretty. So like the linens and the flowers, that was really important. And the invitations were a big thing for me because I like printing and touching and feeling the paper and everything. And I knew that that is the first thing that the guests that we were inviting.
That sets the expectation.
It sets the expectation. And I wanted people to know exactly what that wedding, I wanted them to get the invitation and be like, I can picture in my mind's eye exactly what this wedding is going to look and feel like from that invitation.
Yeah.
So
I think you did good, kid.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's it.
We'll take a break. We're going to come back. We're going to dive in. We've picked out
your top 4.
our top 4.
Yeah.
I mean,
the
top 4 that
things that you need to do
should.
first.
Yeah. Okay, we're back. If this is your first time, this is it. It doesn't get better than this.
Get used to it. This is as good as it gets, y'all.
It doesn't get better. So we're gonna go into the first.
Actually, it does get better sometimes.
Oh yeah, I mean like entertainment wise.
Yes. I just had to think about that for a second.
Okay, we are entertaining. We
think we are.
I mean,
entertaining.
Yeah.
I crack up.
I don't watch our episodes back because I can't look at myself, but I do listen to us back, and there are times where I will bust out laughing.
I know.
And Ryan will be, that's my husband, he'll be in another room and he's like, he'll come and like lean around the corner. He's like, did you just make your own self laugh? And I'm like, have you listened to me? I'm hilarious.
Well, I'll be listening with my kids or, my husband, and I'm like, I'll be laughing with them right there. And I'm like, that's funny, right?
Like y'all laugh.
Right.
Laugh with me. It's funny.
We're funny, right?
It's funny.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Okay. People are like, what the fuck?
Oh my gosh.
Okay. So we're going to talk about, like we said, the first 4 things that you need to do once you get engaged.
Yeah.
The first thing, which if you don't get a wedding planner first, we're going to talk about wedding planner second. We're going to talk about venue first.
Right.
If you don't do the wedding planner first.
Venue is a must. If you're planning on having your wedding, at a place, at a venue, then that really needs to be one of the first things that you do.
Especially
everything will be driven by that.
Yeah, especially if you already know the time of year, or even if there's a special date that you want, you need to jump on that venue like yesterday.
Yeah.
Like yesterday for real, especially if you plan on getting married in the fall or June is another like it like
the spring and the fall, depending on where you live and what the climate is like. But and then there's all of those dates that are like 12 2022, where
Yeah.
the numbers are, those dates
Yeah.
book up so fast. I don't know why. I guess everybody wants that really cool date, but certain dates just book up really quickly, and certain times of the year book up really quickly. And if you think about it, if you're doing a Saturday wedding, which is the most popular day, there's only 52 of those in a year. And think of how many people are getting engaged and getting married.
I bet this year will be a lot of like 9/23/23 or 10/23/23. It's like the fun numbers that kind of make sense.
Yeah.
So those, they book up quick. So venues are going to really drive that. And like I said, venues and like the reception and catering, that's 50% of your budget. There are some venues too, which I think you have a story about this, about preferred vendors.
Yeah.
Laura and I loathe preferred vendor lists. And
Yeah.
I don't care if you're a wedding vendor listening to this or you're a venue listening to this, that shit's fucked up. 100% of the time. And we get why, because we work in the wedding industry. We understand why.
Of course I get why. Of course I get why.
Yeah.
That was coming out of my mouth. I'm not sure it sounded right. But, and while we're talking about venue is the biggest component. I mean, for most people, it's the biggest component.
Well, it sets your date. It sets,
yeah.
I mean, it sets the
it's
tone.
where you're spending the most amount of money.
Yeah.
So all the vendors have to come and work
there
at the venue or with the venue in some capacity.
Yeah.
Most of them. So the venue is very adamant picky that their space is treated well. People respect it. Nothing gets broken or messed up. So they, plus as does anybody. And I understand that 100%. So they want to work with other vendors that they know are familiar with their space or have been there before. They know, where to park, where to come in, loading docks, things like that. And plus it just makes the event run smoother when someone has worked
from what they feel like that would, like, if you're a professional wedding.
No, I'm saying if you're a vendor and you've worked at, let's just say you're a florist and you've worked at that venue.
I get it. You're more comfortable there. But if you're a professional wedding vendor, you know how to be professional and make things work smoothly and have things run. Venues, let's just say it blunt, venues like to have a preferred vendor list because they want to work with a select amount of people. They want to work with the people that they want to work with because of whatever it makes them look like.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons why.
It's crazy. So when you go in, sometimes, and it's helpful for the couples because it narrows down their list. They don't know any better. But for the couples that do have an option outside of that list that are like, okay, I just got engaged, but I love this photographer. Okay, I just got engaged, but I love this wedding planner. And they're not on your preferred vendor list. Either one, you have to pay extra to have somebody come in off that preferred vendor list, or two, you can't have them.
Yeah, you can't have them. And I will say as well that the preferred vendor list, again, I understand why the venues have it, but I'm just going to say they're not always the best vendor in their category. I mean, they might be trustworthy. They may know the venue. They may have worked there many times, but they may not be the best.
No. And
if you are following our great advice and you are you're planning your wedding based on what your non-negotiables are. What if it's photography and you want this photographer that has never worked at this venue before for whatever reason, and the venue's like, no, sorry, not on our preferred list. And that's one of your non-negotiables, and you're spending more of your budget on that. And now you're being told that you can't have that.
The next thing we're going to talk about is planners. So planners kind of break down into 4 different categories. You can have a full service, partial service, month of, or day of. And I will tell you right now, if you get a day of planner, you're dumb.
Month of too.
Month of as well. Like waste of money, waste of time.
Yep.
If it is required by the venue or the venue provides a day of planner, that's not a planner. That is a venue coordinator, and they are coordinating things for the venue, not your wedding.
Right. And we are seeing a lot of venues actually have planners on staff now, or maybe not on staff. They are paying them a commission or some sort of compensation to coordinate all the weddings at their venue. So we are seeing a lot of that. And then, so what happens is you now go to a venue or you pick a venue that not only has a whole list of preferred vendors, you have to use the on-site coordinator. And I will say there is what is the venue coordinator that isn't a planner.
Right.
But now we're seeing actual planners that are being employed, compensated, whatever, by the venue. And so you're using them because, again, it's made it easy for the venue and you're using them.
Well, it's made it easier for the planner too. Because they're always working. I mean, how boring though too, but like they're always working with the same venue and like the same whatever. And it's like, that's gotta be the same type of couple as well though. Like that can be fun and exciting.
Okay. So the story is actually a mutual friend of ours and ran into this entire situation. Picked a venue, loved it, had to pick off of the preferred vendor list, had to use a planner that was on the preferred vendor list. Didn't want that planner, wanted a different planner that she had met and experienced from a friend's wedding who had a great experience with her planner and wanted to use that planner, and they said no. And so she did interview several of the planners that were on the preferred list, which I would definitely encourage you to do. I mean, don't just be like eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
No.
You know, if you're
all the vendors on a preferred list, you need to meet with.
Yeah, you need to. And that's something that we talk about all the time is meeting people to establish this connection and rapport and learn about them and find the right fit. So if you are choosing off a preferred list, definitely do that. And she did a few of them.
Yeah.
I think she said there was like 10, which is a decent amount. But you know, she had her heart set on somebody else. So she did month of, and sorry to all the planners out there because I'm so pro planner, but that's just a waste of time.
Yeah.
It's a waste of time and money because there were so many things I was asking her, and she was just kind of briefly giving me some details. There are so many things that were on that month of contract. This is what we provide.
Yeah.
We do this, we do this, we do this. But a lot of that stuff has to be done before the month of. So it's like, oh, we'll take care of your floor plan. Well, the floor plan has to be done before 4 weeks, before month of, because you have to order place cards, menu cards, pick china. You know, if you're doing all the rentals,
your chairs, linens, everything.
There's so many things
utensils
that have to happen before the month of. So, okay, great. You know, you're going to buy a month of planning package and they're going to include that. Well, that's lame because you're going to end up doing it yourself before.
Month of is more just like, okay, we're going to be here for the month of your wedding to
touch base with the vendors.
Finalize the contracts and be there the day of to help organize the day.
You can give me all the money. I'll pay all your vendors their final payments. I'll make contact with them so they know what time to drop off, to set up or whatever. And that's pretty much all it is. So you've basically planned your whole wedding.
Yeah.
I mean, the experience wasn't what she wanted.
Yeah.
There were, again, she had the month of, so there was a lot of things that she had already done prior that it didn't matter that they were in the contract. So in her mind, it was a waste of money, you know, because she paid all of this money for the month of that things she ended up doing already. But she did say that she was very specific about communicating her, you know, what she wanted and what her expectations were, and had hoped that they would be there that day to make sure that those were carried out and fulfilled. And that's what she felt was really lacking. That the month of was really them checking, oh, we did the floor plan, we did this, we called all your vendors, we made sure they dropped their stuff off. But in terms of executing, having that meeting and saying, this is what I want, this is what my expectations are, they kind of fell short in her mind on that.
And also I know because like you said, we're mutual friends. She initially booked one planner. And then I think it was like a couple weeks before her wedding, she was told, okay, I can't actually be there. So here you get my assistant.
Yeah. You get two other people. Yeah. She did tell me that too. Yeah.
And it's like, that's
not something you tell a couple 2 weeks before the wedding.
Yeah. That's so rude.
And a lot of vendors do that. Not that, but there are a lot of vendors out there because most of these people are experts at what they do and their craft, and they're very good at it. It's, you know, maybe this price to have them, but it's a different price to have their assistants or other people, especially like DJs, you know, they have other DJs on their roster, which is not a big deal. It's totally fine, but they should be upfront with you about that when you're booking them. And you don't, I believe you don't book someone and then 2 weeks before say, oh yeah, by the way, my assistant's going to be there helping you, because you've had your communication with them
the whole time.
Yeah. And how do you know that they are relaying that information, and then they're going to fulfill that expectation. And that was a pretty big disappointment for her. I felt kind of bad, actually.
Let me tell my wedding planner story, because I had a very good planner experience.
Me too.
I ended up getting a partial planning service, like a partial planner, because I went into this venture. Ignorance is bliss. And I thought, oh, I don't need a planner. I don't need to do all of this. I can get it done myself. And I had booked the venue, photographer, and maybe like one or two other things. And my mom and I went to this little like pop-up and bubbles type celebration thing. And the planner was there. And I just clicked with her immediately.
Yeah.
And
that's how you want it to be.
Yes. And I was like, my mom was like, well, we've already done this, this, and this. And she goes, okay, so then you don't need a full service planner, but you need a partial service planner. And she was kind of going through, and it was literally, and I'm a very type A person, but it was literally one of those things where I was like,
done.
Yes, I need that.
Yeah.
That's what I need you to help me do this.
Yeah.
And I will tell a story inside my story. I booked venue A under certain circumstances. They had made these promises to me, and they called me. So like 6-7 months before my wedding, they called me and said, hey, we can't actually uphold these promises that we told you we could.
Yeah, that you signed on the dotted line for.
And I was like, okay, I need a minute. So I called my wedding planner and I was like, I'm going to have an anxiety attack or go on a rampage and kill people. So I need you. So she literally handled that all out.
Yeah.
Took care of everything, got a full refund from the venue because I signed on false promises. And she, like in 2 weeks, we had another venue booked. Unfortunately, it wasn't the same day. It was the same weekend, but that's why we ended up getting married on a Sunday, because the venue didn't have the Saturday booked, and Ryan's family is from out of the country. So we had to have, they already booked their tickets. So we had to have that same weekend.
Fall within that timeline. And you're so lucky that you found a venue that could accommodate that, because again, that's the hardest thing to book.
Yeah. And so, and it worked out perfectly, but she handled everything. Vendors, I
think that's what makes weddings so stressful and so frustrating, is that kind of stuff, which is why I'm full 100% wedding planner. Yeah. And I think that is one of the ways to help alleviate some of that stress and some of that planning frustration. Yeah. Because, maybe she had a relationship with that venue previously and was able to say, hey, and call up her buddy over there and be like, look, you can't do this, know, and that's really, you can't underestimate the value of that.
No. And they also know like where to score you deals, and they have connections. So because this wedding planner comes to them so often, they'll give you a discount,
right?
And
she passes on to you. Yeah. That can go the opposite way too, because I knew someone who the wedding planner was pushing a vendor. Oh, but use this DJ. And she was like, I don't really like them. I've found somebody else that I really like. And come to find out, it was because of that, little discounty thing. So you have to be firm. It is your day.
Yeah. And that's why it's so important to get a wedding planner, and any vendor, but especially a wedding planner that you relate to, that you trust, that you have a relationship with, that you click with. Because even there was a time, like it had to be the month of my wedding, and I was like, I'm disassociating. I'm not responding to emails anymore. And she reached out to me and she's like, hey, what's going on? And I was like, nothing. Why? What's up? And she was like, have you gotten my emails? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, do you want to respond to them? And I was like, no, I don't. No.
I'm good now.
I'm overwhelmed. I don't want to. And she was like, okay, is anyone else emailing you? And I said, yeah, all of them. She goes, okay, so I really just need you to respond to mine, and I will handle everyone else's.
Right.
But like, you have to respond to me.
Yeah.
And I was like,
okay.
I will do that. I can respond to you. But she was, hey, what's going on? What are you doing?
Yeah.
You okay over there? And I'm like, no, I'm
just
falling apart.
Just checking in, girl.
No, I'm not. I'm having a mental breakdown. But and even like the day of the wedding, like it was like, I remember at one point I like went and like hid, and she was over there and she's like, what's going on? And I was like, whew, I'm hot. It's like I just need a little break.
Yeah.
And we sat there and we talked. It was like it was the venue
You
manager,
become
my mom.
Yeah.
And we were all just like having fun, like having a good time. Like it was genuinely a good time. Like she was an amazing wedding planner.
We had with Jackie's wedding, amazing wedding planner as well. And of course I had kind of picked all the vendors. I knew the ones I wanted to work with just from being in the business. And he was just amazing at connecting with all of them. And most of them he had worked with before anyway. But what you said something about just like, oh, I'm sitting in the corner, whatever. It's so important that you interview your vendors and meet them in person. And I know that it's been hard for the past few years to be able to do that. And of course we're in the show business as well. So in person is what we thrive on, but you literally are talking with them the whole time that you're planning, especially someone on the entire time, like the wedding planner or the venue, people that you book the earliest, you spend the most time talking with them. And the photographer, oh my gosh, you're with them all day long. You be doing a huge disservice to yourself if you don't meet these people in person in some sort of environment, whether you met them at someone else's wedding or whether you went to some type of wedding show where you can meet them, because you're with them all the time. It's so important. You have a better chance of, once you establish that friendship or establish that rapport and make that friendship, to getting them to understand
who you are and how
who you
work,
are and what your vibe is and what kind of experience you want out of it. Though once they get to know you, they're like, oh, okay, well, yeah, this will really make her happy. This not so much. So, well, it's, you can never underestimate that. I don't know. Can't think of a word better than underestimate, but All
right, let's take another little breaky poo.
Alrighty.
When we come back, we'll talk about our other top 2, and then we'll let you guys be for the day.
Yeah, it's a lot today.
It is. And we're back. All right.
I get schooled by Emily during our breaks. I'm too old for that shit. I've already raised my kids.
I'm too old for that shit.
They make fun of me all the time, and now I got this one over here. So,
if I didn't love you, I wouldn't give you such a hard time.
Was that what it is?
If I didn't like you, I'd be super nice to you. I'd be like, oh my God, yeah. But because I like you, I'm like a bitch. That's how it works. It's like,
okay.
Yeah.
And my kids say that too. And I'm starting to, I'm not getting all the warm fuzzies.
You're like, I don't feel like that shit's true though. So
go fuck
yourself.
Okay.
So last 2 things we want to talk about, and we'll go pretty quickly because I know we've talked a lot, but.
Well, we've talked about these things before, and this honestly is one of my favorite.
Yeah.
My favorite categories. So we have to keep it in check.
So photography, like you said at the beginning, you get what you pay for.
Absolutely.
We did episode. It was one of our very first episodes that we did with Autumn Harrison Photography. She came on. So if you have any questions about that, go back to that episode.
Yeah.
But I will say, like we've said throughout this entire episode, your photographer is someone that you are with the entire time. They do engagement photos. They'll do your bridal portraits if that's something you want to do. If you want to do special groom portraits, they will do that as well. They will do your getting ready pictures. They will do your ceremony, your reception. And then a lot of times they will do like a 1-year anniversary or whatever, or they'll do like a follow-up. I mean, they become your family photographer.
Yes, we're reading each other's minds. They become your, your
Lifelong.
photographer for life.
Yeah.
And of course that obviously doesn't have anything to do with your wedding, but they're with you all the time from the very beginning, from the time you get engaged to, throughout the whole planning process. And then they help guide the timeline a lot because they know to photograph things, how long it takes. And so they need you to be here at this time to do the mom putting the veil on or whatever the shots that you want.
The photographer and the wedding planner will work very closely to get the timeline done for the day. Right. And they are the 2 that will probably communicate the most as far as like, hey, I need you to be here. And the DJ, they'll give the DJ cues too, but like the photographer.
Not so much though. The DJ, I don't think.
But like those 2 will really take a part hand in hand of like, hey, I'm going to take them away at this time to do sunset shoots. When they come back, cake cutting, I need to be here. They do the whole, it's like
they go hand in hand because the planner might say, this is what time dinner's being served. you know,
Yeah.
and then the photographer might say, okay, well, we want to do these sunset pictures and I'm going to need X amount of time to do this.
Yeah.
So whatever's happening before, I'm going to take the couple here to do that. And and photography for me, again, just to kind of touch on, it lasts forever.
And for me, same. It was a non-negotiable. Yeah. I was not going to back down on how I felt about a quality photographer. And I will say, and I know that this is a very unpopular opinion and I'm fine with that because that's the story of my life. But I did not do a videographer because I just do not like seeing or hearing myself, even though I'm doing a podcast. So you're like, what the fuck? But
good one.
Whoo, you won that, didn't you there, silly girl? But I just was like, that's not something I really want to invest my money in. And Ryan was the same way. And we both were like, we want quality pictures because that is going to be, we can, if you have a good photographer, you can look at that moment and that moment will come back to life. That's my thing. So
a videographer, I mean, it certainly is one of those kind of like,
and I think videographers do a beautiful job.
I mean, they're kind of the unsung hero because I feel like it's a category that can get nixed really quick.
It's one of the first to go
for budget, but it's changed so much. And it's come such a long way. We did have a videographer for Jackie's wedding and they worked very closely hand in hand with the photographer. And, you know, we had some drone, you know, over the
her
reception.
wedding video was gorgeous.
They did a little trailer that was like a 30-second, and then they did maybe like a 3 to 5 minute video. That's what it was. And that's perfect. And that's nobody wants to relive the whole thing. Freaking day.
And that was, and I'll be honest, to me, spending that money when we chose elsewhere to spend it, that was a personal decision. I'm not downing videographers. We have a very good relationship with videographers. I love their work. But for me, spending that amount of money on a 5-minute video wasn't worth it. And I know some people are like, oh my God, I love my video. Mine was 8, whatever, 10-minute max video. If you love it, if that's something that you want, then you need to make sure that you are putting that into your non-negotiable budget.
Yeah. I have like 4. Okay. Hold on.
Oh boy.
To your microphone. Might want to grab it. Like 4 VHS tapes of my
That's like Titanic times 2.
Okay. Oh, no, wait. Let me rephrase that. 1 VHS for the ceremony, 1 for the reception. But when they went to like put it on DVD to preserve it, it ended up being more whatever because the length of time. Like, oh God, I think I watched it one time and we fast forwarded through most of it.
But that it's different now.
It is
together
now.
To be kind of like a movie trailer.
Yeah, like a movie trailer. And I think that's pretty cool. So but photography in terms of what we're talking about, they book out very fast and there's
only one of them.
There's only one. Sometimes they have a second shooter.
It's a sole photographer. So it's like,
and they can't really do, because of the length of time they're with you, they can't do multiple weddings in one day. Maybe not even in a weekend because
they might do 2 weddings. Maybe 2. Well, I doubt they do 3. They might do 2 weddings.
Depending on what they're shooting at the wedding. Right. If they're coming to the rehearsal dinner and then, you know, you have your wedding on all day Saturday and then maybe you doing something on Sunday, they're very limited to how many weddings that they can do because of the amount of time that they're spending with you. So definitely something you need to book early.
The next thing and the final thing that we're going to talk about is the bridal dress.
Yeah.
And that is something right now is taking about 8 to 10 months. It normally was like 6 to 8 months. And it might still be that timeline depending on how the year goes and how things happen.
Yeah.
But it is something that you need to do pretty much like right after you get your venue. Your dress kind of like goes with the vibe of the venue. You know what you're looking for. You know what you want. Like that's something that needs to get done
as soon as possible.
Because you need to make appointments. Most bridal shops are appointment only.
Yeah.
You need to make these appointments. And if you don't find your dress the first day, then you have to go back and make another appointment. And your second appointment isn't as long because you've already had time.
Already had them.
So, and I would suggest too, I think there are people out there that go and try on like 50 plus dresses. Don't do that. Don't do that to yourself.
Yeah.
Have an idea of what you want. Try on all different types of dress because you're going to surprise yourself.
You will, yeah.
With a dress that you like. You talked about this on the last episode or something. I did. About your dress.
I had picked out some dresses in some magazines, and when I went to the shops that carried them and tried them on, I was like, it wasn't what I thought. And I ended up getting...
picked a dress that you
never would have picked.
Yeah.
I would have gone through the rack.
Yeah.
And,
So be
and
open.
They don't look on like they look like on the rack.
No.
So I mean, with all the styled shoots that we've worked
Well,
on,
but I mean,
and
it's
the
just like
fashion shows,
the people working in the bridal salons and the wedding, like they know what they're doing. So when they bring you options, they know what they're doing. So just kind of go with that. Trust them. Trust the process. I know it's hard because you've never met them before, but just try it on. And when you get to like dress 30, it might be time to take it. Don't continue to dive in. Take a beat, self-reflect, and kind of be like, okay, what am I missing?
Yeah.
What dress did I love? Let me go back to that dress and let's go from there.
At that point, you're overwhelmed. You've tried on so many things. You probably like certain things about a lot of different ones that you've tried on, and you're in information overload, and then you become non-committal.
Yeah. Because now you're like, there could be a better one.
Yeah.
There could be a better one.
Yeah.
And there's not. There's not going to be a better one.
Well, and you're non-committal to all the 30 or whatever that you just tried on because you
And
feel
it's
like, oh, I should pick one of them.
Right. And it does get to be pressure overload because you're like, it's the dress I'm going to look back on. It's the most important dress in my life. But if you don't give yourself enough time to love the dress that is on your body, then you're going to have to buy something that's off the rack, and it's going to have to be something hopefully that fits well because you didn't give yourself enough time to get that one fitted to you.
Yeah. And then the other thing is, once you find the dress and you order it, and it does take like 9 months, don't look at any more dresses.
Look at any
Stay
more dresses.
away from the bridal shop.
You've gotten your dress. Fuck off.
Jackie's friend right now, my gosh, she has like 2 dresses, and we went shopping. They went shopping not too long ago over and walked into Anthropologie, and Anthropologie has Beholden, and then next to that is Vowed, like at the shopping center right by us. And so she was looking in both of those, and she said to Jackie, "Do you think I need a third dress?" Jackie was like,
"For
no."
what?
Well, they're the couple that got married during COVID, and now they're having their big reception. So she had a dress back then for that. So now she has a dress for this big reception that they're having now. She got a different dress because it was 2 years ago. And so now she's kind of like, do I want, a party dress and a whatever? We're like, stay out of the bridal shop.
Stop. Okay. Really quick before we wrap it up, I want to just kind of break down, because we did the budget a little bit before. So I just want to break it down a little bit one more time with what we've talked about. So the average for a venue right now, it's going to seem high, is about 10,500. It ranges from 3 to 12,000. But that is right now
to just rent the venue.
The venue itself is about 10 and a half. A planner, depending on averages, and this is, I don't think this average is accurate, is 1,700.
No, that's no way.
I don't believe that. I will say, I think for a partial planner, we had to have paid 5+.
For partial planning for 5,000?
Yeah.
I didn't pay that for full service.
I don't remember,
I don't think that's right.
but I know it was more than 1,700.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I would say that's more like what day of is probably costing.
Yeah. Month of, day of. Yeah. So, photographer average is about 3,000 to 7,000, which is very on par. And your dress right now is averaging, about 1,800, which I think is very accurate. It's a very wide range, especially now with Beholden and Vowed, those kind of businesses coming in. A and Bay is another one. Having more affordable luxury dresses starting at like 500. Yeah. A decent range is like 500 to 4,000. And I just want to say too, with the wedding dress, you need to keep in mind alterations are expensive as fuck,
and
especially
it's not included,
and it's not included in the wedding dress price. So if you're going in and you see a $2,000 wedding dress and your wedding budget is $30,000, you're a dumb piece of shit, because that doesn't fucking equal out. And now you've just spent money you don't have, and now you have to get it altered. And alterations for a dress, especially if it's beaded or has lace or has any fucking thing else than just satin, is expensive. It's not going to be cheap. You're paying another $600 to $800 for that alteration.
A lot of the shops don't offer alterations either. So you have to go outside. They probably have people that they work with that they recommend, but you're going to another business now too.
Yeah. So just keep in mind, you don't have to get the most expensive. You don't have to do the most expensive thing just because
expensive
Sally
doesn't
Sue
mean better.
preach that shit. Say it louder one more time for the people in the back.
Expensive doesn't mean better.
But like, I mean, seriously, just because Sally Sue did it and she had the most amazing wedding ever, her relationship is probably trash. Okay. She's not happy. So you don't have to get the most expensive shit just because someone else did. You need to like it. It needs to be something that you want, but it also needs to be realistic. Don't go broke for your wedding.
Yeah.
Don't do that shit. It's not going to be fun.
It's a terrible way to start a marriage.
Yeah. Don't have any regrets. Enjoy your wedding day,
Right.
but don't go into it being like, oh, the dress I like is on sale and only $900. Oh, I can get something better. If that's a dress that you love, get that fucking dress.
Yeah.
Who gives a shit? No one's going to be like, so how much was your dress? And if they ask you that, you can tell them to go and turn around and put their head in the toilet. Okay. And you can tell my son that shit. You can fast forward to this time and be like, listen to this, put your head in the toilet.
Emily
Bye.
said, put your head in the toilet.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yep.
Okay. Well, if you're listening to us for the first time, I hope that you stuck with it. And now you got a nice taste of who we are and what we do.
Are we gonna talk about what we want to call our listeners?
Oh my God. Yes.
Emily came up with a really cute nickname for all of our couples who listen,
So
who are our listeners
cute.
and followers.
So cute. So I was like, okay, for all of our new people, what do we want to call them? And I was like, you know what? For all our new shitsters.
Shitsters.
I like it.
Not shit stirrers, but shitsters.
Shitsters.
Yeah.
What'd you say? Like hipsters,
Yeah,
but
like
shitsters?
the hipsters, but the shitsters.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's,
I like it.
That's what we've all called you
Let us
now.
know if you like it.
I don't care if you don't.
You little shit.
You little shit.
You little shitster.
All right, guys. Follow us on Instagram at Cheers to That Shit Podcast, TikTok, Cheers to That Shit Podcast, YouTube, Cheers to That Shit. Shit is S !T podcast. Apple, Spotify, if you're listening to, you're already fucking listening to us. We know where we are.
Yep.
Send in your stories for your engagement stories. We want to hear them. We want to hear how amazing those are. We want to hear if you had some shitty fuck ups in your engagement story. That's something that we're definitely interested in. You can go to our website at cheerstothatshit.com and submit those, or email us at stories@cheerstothatshit.com.
Yeah, that would be great, because the more you tell us, the more we can tell
The
everybody
more
else.
the merrier.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.